Part 341. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3411. Xiaoyan, are you questioning me? Xinjiang's marriage is my family business. Why, now you even have to intervene in my family affairs, and even decide for me. Zhou Yin, who was behind Xiaoyan, was slightly stunned. He glanced at Mr. Xia in surprise and lowered his eyes. The faces of the people in the main room were not very good looking, so was Xiaoyan. He said, San Xia's family is indeed the closest to me, and Xia Yi is your second son. It seems that he is indeed the most suitable person to adopt. But whether to adopt or not depends on the relationship between me and my wife. Originally, our husband and wife did not have much relationship with Xia Yi. Xiaoyan glanced around the room and said with a sneer, besides, I want to adopt. What I want is a child, not to find an ancestor for myself. Xia San's face was livid, and just about to speak, Xiaoyan had already stood up, staring at Patriarch Xia and said, in the past, their family would come to my house every now and then to tell my wife and daughter what to do, so I will not say anything, but they even paid someone to watch my every move as soon as I move. I haven't adopted yet, and his wife and daughter are domineering to my wife and daughter. When I really adopt in the future, will my home still be our family's home? Now you even have to question Xinjiang's marriage, Xiaoyan said. Don't forget, this is my family affair, and Xinjiang is my daughter. Brother Yan, Patriarch Xia hurriedly comforted him. San Xia didn't mean that, but he was just worried that you would be cheated, after all. He glanced at Zhou Yin and said, after all, he is an outsider, or he came from another place. Who knows what character is inside? Xiaoyan, what kind of character is he? I know him best when I get along with him day and night, but what kind of character is Xia Yi? I have not lost my eyes for so many years. Such an appearance of completely looking down on Xia Yi made Xia San explode in anger. He wanted to say something, but was held down by the brothers on the left and right, telling him not to be impulsive. Xia Yan's decision and comments were a bolt from the blue for Xia San's family, but not all bad things for the family. Originally, San Xia's family was the closest to Xia Yan's blood, no matter in terms of emotion or ethics. If they were to adopt, they would have to choose someone from their family. Xia Yi was recognized as the best candidate early in the morning. Whether it was the clan or Xia Yi's family, everyone felt that Xia Yan would definitely succeed Xia Yi in the future. As a result, Xia Yan doesn't like Xia Yi now. Does that mean that other people in the clan have a chance? Patriarch Xia also thought it was a good thing, so when he pulled Xia Yan outside, his complexion improved, and he persuaded earnestly, Brother Yan, since you think Xia Yi is not suitable, why don't you choose a younger child from the clan and bring him up since childhood? Being raised by your side not only guarantees your character, but also brings you deep feelings from an early age. Xia Yan shook his head, Patriarch, you know that my wife and I are in poor health and have limited energy. It is troublesome to raise Xinjiang, let alone other children. Bringing the children will delay others. Forget it gone. Patriarch Xia couldn't help but glanced at Zhou Yin beside him, pulled Xia Yan aside and asked in a low voice, Brother Yan, you don't really want to recruit Xinjiang, do you? Xia Yan also glanced at Zhou Yin, who was standing like a pine tree, the corners of his mouth slightly turned up, and after pondering for a moment, he shook his head. I haven't thought about recruiting Xinjiang yet. But he really wanted to marry Xinjiang and take away most of his property. Patriarch Xia hurriedly said, even if you are recruiting a relative, you can't choose a foreigner, or a foreigner who escaped. Since Zhou Yin became a long-term worker of Xia's family, everyone in Hongtian village knew about his origin. They heard that he was from Mianzhou, who escaped because of the drought. Xia Yan said, my family chooses a son-in-law based on character. Then what if his character is not good? Patriarch Xia said, he has no relatives here, who can control him. Xia Yan, thank you patriarch for caring about my brother's family affairs, I will consider this matter. But he didn't look like he wanted to think about it at all. Patriarch Xia could only watch helplessly as Xia Yan took Zhou Yin away. On the other hand, Xia Mu and Xia Xian, who were surrounded by female relatives, were also having a hard time. Since they sat down, someone asked directly or tactfully about the adoption. After asking about her adoptive step, she asked about Xia Xian's marriage. It seems that she is almost old enough to not be engaged is a disastrous thing. There were also people who directly wanted to propose marriage to her, and Xia Xian's face changed with anger. Xia Xian got up straight away, and said to Xia's mother, "Mom, I'm going out to watch my father, I can't let him drink." After that, I left. The aunts and aunts in the clan couldn't help being taken aback for a moment, and then got a little angry. Siblings, why does Xinjiang become more rude as she gets older? Xia's mother's face darkened, she is worried that her father's drinking will hurt his health. This is filial piety, why is he being rude? She also got up, I don't think it's getting too early, you guys chat first, I'll go see the elders of the clan. Everyone watched their mother and daughter leave straight away, and looked at each other, this. Have you noticed that their mother and daughter are very strong this year, and they are much more courageous? It's not just this year. Last year was different from before. We even had the guts to refuse to entertain us when we came. Is it possible before? Could it be that they really want to recruit Zhou Yin into their family, so they don't have to rely on the clan in the future, so? Impossible, that Zhou Yin is a foreigner, this outsider is an outsider after all, how can he compare with our own family? There was a lot of discussion on their side. Xia Xian who ran out didn't go to find her father, but ran out of the village in one go, and didn't stop until she was out of breath. Angrily, she kicked away the stone at her feet, because the stone was a bit big, and a dull pain came from her toes, and she burst into tears. Seeing her, Zhou Yin, who was chasing after her, got up at a loss and handed her his handkerchief. You, don't cry, is Xia Lan bullying you again? Wait, I'll beat Xia Yi to vent your anger on you. Only then did Xia Xian realize that he was following, she pulled off her handkerchief and turned her back to wipe away her tears. You, why are you here? I saw you running out of the village, and you didn't answer when I called you twice. I was afraid that something would happen to you, so I followed because she lowered her head. Zhou Yin couldn't see her face, so she could only lower her head hard. Looking at her face, she asked softly, did you get bullied? Xia Xian slightly raised her eyes to look at him, and when she touched his gaze, she lowered her eyes again to avoid his gaze, and muttered, no. Seeing that there were still tears on her face, Zhou Yin couldn't help but reached out to wipe them off, and said softly, liar, how could you cry if you didn't? Why are you crying so sadly? Xia Xian was startled by his hand, took a step back abruptly, reached out and knocked his hand away. Zhou Yin withdrew his hand, and the expressions of both of them changed slightly, and they remained silent. Xia Xian felt that her reaction just now was not good and might have hurt Zhou Yin, so she hesitated to speak. Zhou Yin lowered his head and was silent for a while. You, do you know? Xia Xian, know what? Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3412. Zhou Yin swallowed nervously, clenched his fists and said, Sir, he wants to. His face was blushing, and his voice lowered, he said he intends to betroth me to you. Xia Xian was stunned, what? Zhou Yin's neck was red, no, I betrothed you to me. You two looked at me, I looked at you, blushed, and neither of them spoke. The two stood facing each other for a long time, but the sudden sound of firecrackers in the village brought them back to their senses. The flush on Zhou Yin's face faded a lot. He took a deep breath and said in a low voice, if you don't want to. I am willing, Xia Xian bit her lips after she finished speaking, Feeling that she had spoken too hastily and lost the restraint of a girl, but seeing Zhou Yin's suddenly bright eyes, she still suppressed her shyness and whispered said, "I listen to my father." Zhou Yin felt so happy in his heart. He had never been so happy in his whole life. He couldn't hold back the smile on his mouth, so he simply grinned, his eyes narrowed. "Don't worry." Meeting his smile, Xia Xian couldn't help but smile, and asked in a low voice, "What am I worried about?" Zhou Yin said to her seriously, "Don't be afraid," he said, "I won't let you be wronged." Xia Xian looked down at her toes and whispered, "I'm not afraid." Zhou Yin stretched out his hand to hold her, but Xia Xian's hand shrank back and stopped, allowing him to hold it. Zhou Yin blushed and whispered, let's go back." The two went back hand in hand. There were a bunch of children setting off firecrackers at the entrance of the village. Xia Xian struggled with her hand, Zhou Yin let her go, and the two went back shoulder to shoulder. Xia Yan and Xia's mother have already returned to the old house. Xia's mother is cooking dinner, and Xia Yan is lighting a fire in the kitchen. It's just that his fire-burning skills are really not very good. It just happened that Xia's mother was in a bad mood, so her patience dropped and she kept nagging him. Seeing Zhou Yin and Xia Xian coming back, Xia Yan immediately went out of the kitchen relieved, and said to Xia Xian, "Come help your mother light the fire." Xia Xian's mind hadn't fully recovered yet, and she was stunned for a moment before she realized, "Oh, okay." Xia Yan watched her daughter enter the kitchen, then turned to look at Zhou Yin, squinted her eyes, and asked, "What's wrong with Xian Niang?" Zhou Yin hesitated for a moment before saying, "Sir, she seems to have been bullied by the clan." "I know," Xia Yan said, "I was asking why she looks so happy." Zhou Yin blushed, lowered his head and said, I told you what you mean." Xia Yan raised his eyebrows slightly, "Aren't you unwilling?" "I'm not unwilling," Zhou Yin said hastily, "it's just that the boy is penniless, and I'm afraid he won't be able to give Xiniang a good life and take care of her." "Then it's okay now," Zhou Yin said with a serious face, "it's still difficult to do, so I decided to get married." Xia Yan opened his mouth wide in surprise, and it took him a long time to find his own voice. "Actually, even if you don't marry, my property will be left to you." Xia Yan has already made up his mind. When Xian Niang gets married, he will give her all the land, shop and house under his name as a dowry. When Xiniang gets married, the remaining things will not be so exciting that they can be adopted. Zhou Yindao, the property in the family belongs to Xiniang, so naturally Xiniang is the head of the household. Xia Yan raised his eyebrows, looked at Zhou Yin deeply, and asked, "Have you thought it through?" Both of them knew that this was just Zhou Yin's excuse, and his real purpose was to make Xia Xian more independent and secure. Because, based on what Xia Yan promised him just now, even if he doesn't get married, he can get everything he got when married. When did Xia Yan see Zhou Yin? Looking into it seriously, it should have started more than a year ago when they discovered that Xia Yi's family had hired someone to watch their house. He was already hesitant about whether to adopt Xia Yi. First, Xia Yi was old and his parents and family were present, so he would definitely prefer his biological father and biological mother. The second is that he doesn't trust Xia Yi's character, nor does he trust the character of his parents and family members. After that incident happened, he knew that the family was not completely ignorant of the matter, not only letting it go, but even implicitly supporting it, so he didn't trust the family very much. The Xia family is only in Hongtian village, and it is not a big family. His family property is the largest in the family. He didn't know what consensus they had reached in private, but their family must have become the meat on their chopping board, and as long as he fell, they would be able to swarm up and share the meat. Their actions are not secret, and their scheming is not that deep, at least in Xia Yan's case. Once they find clues, their conduct will be invisible in his eyes. At that time, he began to think about Xia Xian's future. Originally, if he wanted to adopt, Xia Xian could marry normally, and he would prepare some more dowry for her. In Shangzhou City, she had siblings, family, and dowry, so she shouldn't suffer a loss. Seeing that it was impossible for Xia Yi and his family to take care of Xia Xian, he had to consider other possibilities. He wanted to choose a husband of the same character for Xia Xian, who would always take care of her even if she had no brothers or family in the future. Zhou Yin is the best candidate. He believed in his own vision, no matter what the child's ability was, he must be a person who would reciprocate his kindness. That's why he deliberately kept Zhou Yin. Over the past year, he has become more and more satisfied with Zhou Yin, but he never thought of letting him marry him. Because no matter whether he is married or not, he has already decided to leave these things to them, so why bother to suppress Zhou Yin? Moreover, he has taught Zhou Yin to read for more than a year. He is really smart, and given time, he can become an official examiner. It is not easy to be an official as a son-in-law. So he asked Zhou Yin repeatedly, "Have you really thought it through?" Zhou Yin said firmly, "Yes." "Xia Yan, you don't want to be an official anymore." Zhou Yin said indifferently, "There are ways to live as an official, and there are ways to live if you are not an official. As long as you live a good life." Xia Yan likes his open-mindedness the most. Hearing this, he burst into laughter, nodded and said, "Okay. That's it." After returning after the New Year, Xia Yan formally engaged the two of them. Hongtian village did not expect Xia Yan to move so fast. During the Chinese New Year, they were still questioning and talking about this matter. Xia Yan took a look, and as soon as he returned to the city, he settled Zhou Yin and Xia Xian's marriage, and sent out a message to Xia Xian to recruit a wife, directly cutting off all their paths. Not only Xia Yi's family was not convinced, but other members of the family were also not convinced. They went to the city every day to persuade Xia Yan about this matter. But Xia Yan refused to accept their suggestion on the grounds that it was his family's private matter. They had no choice but to let the young people in the clan go to trouble Zhou Yin. I am too tired today, so I will update 2 chapters. See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3413. Zhou Yin suffered a loss at the beginning, and then he began to ask the friends he met in the city for help. If Xia Yi and the others came to trouble him again, they would suffer a loss instead. After coming and going, everyone gradually dared not trouble Zhou Yin anymore. Zhou Yin poked his head outside the door covered in dust again, and seeing Mother Xia in the yard, he gave Xia Xian, who was sitting under the tree, 2 puff 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 chit. Xia Xian turned her head and saw his head sticking in, and knew at a glance that he was fighting again. She glanced at Xia's mother, got up and found an excuse to send her mother back to the house, and Zhou Yin slipped in. Xia Xian looked at him distressedly, "Are they bothering you again?" Zhou Yin said indifferently, "They didn't take advantage of it, and I beat them up." Xia Xian frowned and said, "You can't always be like this. No matter how powerful you are, there will be times when your fists can't hit your 4 feet. Zhou Yin glanced at Mother Xia's room, and comforted him, "Don't worry, it's only been 2 days, and there is no one else around him now. In terms of fighting alone, Xia Yi can't beat him." "And he's going to talk about kissing," Zhou Yin said in a low voice. "I followed him to see her. He likes that little lady very much. If he makes trouble again, will this marriage be ruined?" Xia Xian asked, "Why?" "Of course it's because of me," Zhou Yin said. "I can go to that little lady's village and speak ill of him." Xia Xian. "However, I'd rather demolish 10 temples than destroy 1 marriage. As long as he doesn't bother us anymore, I will naturally not interfere in this matter." Xia Xian looked skeptical. "You couldn't have planned the marriage, Did you? Your cousin's family hates me, how can I influence them? Zhou Yin whispered, this is entirely their own idea. He just talked to some people, saying that Xia Yan didn't like Xia Yi because of his bad character, and he was too old to teach, but if they had another child. He didn't finish his words, but others would think for themselves, if Xia Yi had a son, now Xia Xian is only engaged, but has not yet recruited a son. Zhou Yin found a job for Xia Yi's family. From getting married to having a child, the fastest time is 1 year. After 1 year, even if he can't gain a firm foothold in the Xia family in Hongtian village, he can still make the Xia family in Hongtian village uneasy. Dare to bully him again. Xia Yan doesn't interfere with Zhou Yin's actions, they will need to live their own lives in the future. He trusts Zhou Yin's ability, and feels that he can protect himself, Xi and Niang, and even their family. Now that Zhou Yin has decided not to go to the exams and examiners, Xia Yan will no longer force him to go to the academy. He can just study at home and arrange the rest of the time by himself. After a few days, Xia Yi stopped, and he was no longer keen on going to the city to trouble Zhou Yin. He originally wanted to scare Zhou Yin, and it would be best to beat him away. But now that he is getting married, he can't keep going to the city to fight with Zhou Yin, mainly he can't beat him now, so he decided to wait until he gave birth to a son. As soon as Xia Yi, who was charging into the battle, stopped, the rest of the Xia family in Hongtian village froze and failed to keep up. When they realized it again, Zhou Yin had already followed Xia Yan to meet Xia's relatives and friends. Zhou Yin's identity was confirmed. Approved. Members of the Xia clan. Zhou Yin wrote another letter and put it in the box, flipped through the letters in the box, and sighed involuntarily. Xia Xian poked her head in and saw that she wanted to scare him, but seeing his sad face, she stopped thinking and walked forward. Zhou Yin closed the box, and when he looked up and saw Xia Xian standing in front of the table, he was startled, fell back on the chair, patted his chest and said, You walk silently. Xia Xian, usually I am careful not to scare you, but this time I don't want to scare you, but you are scared, say, what have you done? Zhou Yin hurriedly opened the box and showed her the letter. This is not a bad thing, this is a letter to my brother and sister-in-law. Xia Xian took it, but didn't open it to read. Why didn't you send it? 2 letters have been sent out by someone, but I don't know whether the sender has not arrived in Lujiang County, or I can't find anyone. I haven't received a reply, Zhou Yin said. There is no businessman who went to Lujiang County recently, so I can only send a letter to Lujiang County. Save it for now. I wrote this letter today to tell them that I am getting married and that I was brought up by them. This can be regarded as telling the parents. Xia Xian blushed and said angrily, Who is going to marry you? You, Zhou Yin said, Mr. told me yesterday that I should get ready to get married. Xia Xian is 16 this year, and Zhou Yin is 18, so they can get married. With a slightly red face, Zhou Yin opened the drawer, took out a long and thin box, and handed it to Xia Xian. Here you are. Xia Xian opened it, and inside was a silver hairpin in the shape of a magnolia flower. The hairpin had clear lines, and the magnolia flower was about to bloom, and it was lifelike. She looked at Zhou Yin in surprise. This. Zhou Yin looked at her nervously. It's for you, do you like it? Xia Xian clenched the silver hairpin in her hand, and asked with a blushing face, Is it very expensive? The craftsmanship is so good. It's not expensive, I only paid full silver, Zhou Yin grinned. I drew the blueprint, and then I asked Uncle Xia to print it according to the blueprint, and it didn't cost much. Xia Xian. She was moved, but also a little annoyed. She didn't know why she was angry, so although she accepted Zhou Yin's silver hairpin, she couldn't help but step on him. Zhou Yin hugged the trampled foot, and with a hiss, Xia Xian had already turned around and ran away, so he could only follow behind and shout, Do you like it or not? Xia Xian ignored him and ran back to her room sullenly. Zhou Yin hugged his feet and chased to the door. Xia Yan asked quietly, "What do you like?" Zhou Yin immediately put down his feet, stood up straight, and shook his head with a serious face. "It's nothing." Xia Yan glanced at him, then walked past him indifferently. Zhou Yin let out a breath, but felt uncomfortable scratching his head. Do he like it or not? Xia Xian naturally liked it, because she brought the silver hairpin with her the next day. Not only Xia's mother, but also Xia Yan noticed it. He looked at the hairpin on her head for a while, and then looked away. Mother Xia was very happy, pulled her aside and asked, "Where did this hairpin come from?" Xia Xian lowered her head, blushed, and said, "Zhou Yin gave it to you." Mother Xia couldn't help grinning, grabbed her hand and whispered, "Okay, I don't worry if he knows that it hurts people, and you should be nice to him too, don't always make him work and bully him." Xia Xian muttered, "When did I ever bully him? It's clear that he has always been bullying me." Mother Xia, what are you mumbling about? Xia Xian, it's nothing, Mom, I want to go out and play today. Go, let Zhou Yin take you there. Xia's mother smiled, your father is about to choose an auspicious day for you, you just go out for a stroll, if you see something you like, buy it back, it will be used when you get married on. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3414. Xia Yan felt a little sad when her daughter was getting married, but fortunately, her daughter was not getting married, but marrying a son-in-law, so the sadness was lessened. Xia's mother was purely happy. She was a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law, and the more she looked at Zhou Yin, the more satisfied she became. This child is good-looking, filial, and capable, let alone a son-in-law, even a son-in-law is excellent. As long as she thought that he was going to marry his daughter and live at home with her in the future, she was happy. At first, she was skeptical about her husband's choice of Zhou Yin. Because Zhou Yin is a foreigner and has no roots here, they don't know anything about his past. Although he looks good now, who knows what he was like in the past? She was a little scared. But after getting along for more than 2 years, she became more and more satisfied with Zhou Yin. Seeing Zhou Yin and her daughter go out together, Xia's mother said to Xia Yan in comfort, your son-in-law is well chosen. Xia Yan said helplessly, aren't you very dissatisfied at first? Isn't that worried that he can't take good care of Xinjiang, but for more than a year, Zhou Yin has been operating in the county outside of Xia's house. Although he borrowed some capital from Xia Yan, he not only returned the borrowed money, also accumulated some. Although Xia's mother doesn't know much, she often hears praise from outsiders. With Zhou Yin's ability, even without Xia's family, he can live a good life, or even better. Xia's mother vaguely knew that Zhou Yin would be the son-in-law more for the sake of Xinjiang and repaying the kindness of Xia's family. After getting out of the alley, Zhou Yin took 2 quick steps and walked beside Xia Xian, walking in sync with her. The alley is not narrow, but he just likes to squeeze her. Xia Xian almost walked away against the wall. Seeing that he was still pushing her in, she couldn't help but squeezed her fist and gave him a push, go out more. Zhou Yin grinned, grabbed her hand and held it in his hand, whispering, this way I won't squeeze you. Xia Xian blushed slightly, and hurriedly looked back, only to be relieved when she didn't see it. Zhou Yin leaned close to her ear and whispered, I'm not afraid of anyone, my clothes have big sleeves today, and outsiders won't be able to see that we are holding hands when I get close. He was too close, Xia Xian's ear tips were red, her left hand was tightly held, she could only use her right hand to give him a chest, but her left hand didn't struggle anymore and let him hold it. Zhou Yin happily led Xia Xian to go shopping, and the two bought a lot of small things when they came back, all of which were to be arranged in their new house. When the two of them brought the things back, their faces were blushing. Mother Xia smiled so hard that her eyes were crooked, and she helped them put away these things herself, but Xia Yan just pretended not to see them. Xia Yan asked someone to calculate the date, and Xia Xian became more nervous as the date approached. When she was nervous, she didn't want to see anyone, especially Zhou Yin. Zhou Yin had no choice but to walk past her window every day, and then go out to do his own business or prepare for the marriage. He thought that he would only see Xia Xian on the day he got married, but he didn't expect to see Xia Xian standing in the yard as soon as he entered the door today. He froze for a moment, and hurried forward. "Xiniang, are you willing to see me today?" Xia Xian tapped her toes lightly, and it took her a long time to muster up the courage to look at him. "Zhou Yin, do you really want to marry me?" Seeing her anxious face, Zhou Yin couldn't help but straighten his face, and said seriously, "No, I won't marry you." Xia Xian's eyes were slightly red, and Zhou Yin grinned, "I want to marry you." Xia Xian held back her tears, and couldn't help kicking him again. "You're playing tricks on me again." But her eyebrows and eyes couldn't help but curl up. Zhou Yin smiled when she saw it, stretched out her hand to hold her, and asked in a low voice, "Are you happy?" Xia Xian couldn't help but shook his hand, and said in a low voice, "Marrying is not that good, in case people outside look down on you." "I don't care about people's gazes," Zhou Yin said. "I live my own life, and we live well, as long as we are happy." "Then, what about your family?" Xia Xian raised her eyes and stared at him and asked, "Your brother and sister-in-law, wouldn't they mind?" Zhou Yindao, "When I went out, my elder brother had 5 children. Our old Zhou family has no shortage of sons. He said, my brother's brain is not very bright, he doesn't think deeply. As long as I can live, I can not only live now, but also have a wife by my own ability. It's too late for him to be happy, so why bother? Am I married? As for my sister-in-law, she is simpler," Zhou Yin said. "She listens to me, as long as I am happy." Xia Xian let go of her heart, shook his hand and asked, "Then are you happy?" "Happy?" Zhou Yin looked down at her, her eyes were full of her. "As long as I think that we are getting married, I am very happy, so I am happy every day." Xia Xian's cheeks were flushed, and she withdrew her hand abruptly. "It's getting late, I'm going to cook." Zhou Yin chased after her to the kitchen. "I'll help you light the fire." Xia's mother watched the two of them enter the kitchen one after the other through the window, and Xia Yan smiled, "Now you can rest assured." Xia Yan responded softly. Xia Xian was very happy, so she took the initiative to talk to Zhou Yin. "When we get married, I will discuss it with my parents, and we will go back to your house to have a look." Zhou Yin was taken aback, then raised his head to look at her. "Go back to my house?" Xia Xian nodded and smiled. "Yes, you are married, so you have to tell your brother and sister-in-law. Even if you are married, you have to tell your family. Didn't you say they will be happy? Let them be happy too happy." Zhou Yin showed a big smile, nodded and said, "Okay." Zhou Jin and Qianxi would indeed be very happy. Since Zhou Yin left with the caravan, they lost news of him. A few days after he left, someone in the county sold a batch of grain. Although the price was high, there was grain flowing out, and those who had been waiting for the rice to cook had hope. Some food. Then this time the sale seemed to turn on a switch, and the grain merchants detained by the county magistrate began to open grain shops and sell grain outside. Although the price is still much higher than before, and the output is very small, Lujiang County seems to have come back from lifelessness and gained some popularity. The young men of Qilai village, who had been guarding the goods of the company, felt this atmosphere and breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't know that this matter was indirectly related to Zhou Yin. It is precisely because he lied to the chief manager of the company that the food from the county magistrate's foreign aid will arrive soon, and now the food in the county cannot be shipped out. Buyer pays. He sells grain here, coupled with the continuous pressure from the county magistrate. The grain merchants have also stretched to the extreme, so they can only take a step back and release some grain, and Lujiang County, which has been tense all the time, has eased up. 18 days later, the grain bought by the county magistrate of Lujiang County arrived, and the yamen began to distribute relief grain. Old Zhou Tiou led his family to line up in the county town with cloth bags to receive the relief grain. The crisis in Qilai village was immediately eliminated. Since Zhou Yin left, no one died in their village, and everyone survived to receive relief food from the county government. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3415. The food bought by the county magistrate lasted for a while, and the relief food given by the court finally arrived in Lujiang County. In addition to relief food, the court also allocated wheat seeds. The villagers of Qilai village all went to pick them up, and began to revive. The unharvested rice in the field was cut off, and then they began to prepare for planting winter wheat. Zhou Jin took the opportunity to go to the county seat to inquire about the caravan, but he heard that the caravan stopped passing through Lujiang County after selling all the goods. After the new year, he finally asked someone to inquire about the caravan's situation in Mianzhou, but he heard that their trade route had changed their chief steward, and now this chief steward was no longer the same as before. I heard that the former chief executive was fined and sent to the northwest trade route for selling the buyer's goods privately. It has been 2 years since Zhou Jin finally got together the money to get in touch with the big manager. It is said that Zhou Yin went out for the first time, and was hungry and empty at that time, so he fell seriously ill on the way and was left in Shangzhou by the caravan. When Zhou Jin heard this echo, he squatted on the ground without speaking for a long time, and finally had to get up and leave when it was getting dark. He didn't stay in a hotel, but went out of the city overnight, stayed in the town god's temple outside the city for one night, and hurried back to the village the next day. Walking back to Qilai village from Mianzhou city, Zhou Jin took Zhou Dalan for 2 days and 2 nights, and when he returned to Qilai village, he fell down when he saw the door of his house. When she woke up, Qian was sitting beside the bed crying softly. Zhou Jin lay silently on the bed, and it took him a long time to get up and said, "Don't cry, save more money in the past few years, and let Dalan and Erlang go to Shangzhou to look for it when you save enough travel expenses." She silently wiped away tears and nodded. From that day on, Zhou Jin, who had only been working hard for 2 years, had another stingy problem. In the past, as long as they had money in their hands, people who spent money without batting an eyelid now have to haggle back and forth even to buy vegetables worth 5 cents. Immediately, he became one of the most unpopular people in the bazaar. Zhou Jin and Qian's have been saving money all the time, but the only source of money for rural people is farming, and they receive twice a year, which seems to have 2 big incomes. But it costs more. There are many children in the old Zhou family, and a few young ones are waiting to be fed. Only 1, 2, 3, or 4 sons can help, and the others are all lagging behind. Especially the 6th child who was just born, his birth made the old Zhou's family worse. Qian's body broke down after giving birth to him, and he collapsed after less than half a year of persistence, and then he could only raise him at home. She didn't believe in evil, and wanted to fight hard, but every time her body became more dilapidated, the old doctor who came to see her said to her directly, "You were exhausted in the early years, and you were hungry a few years ago plus, with too much childbirth and fatigue, this body is already riddled with holes." He said, "If you take good care of it, you may be able to live for a few more years. If you still try to be brave, your family will send you away within half a year at most." Zhou Jin didn't expect it to be so serious. He was taken aback for a moment and immediately said, "We will raise it." "Qian, what are you raising?" "It's like this. Living is not only a drag on you, but I also suffer." "You don't want to see Xiaoyan," Zhou Jin said, "the family has already saved a lot of money. After this year's harvest is over, I will ask Erlang to follow the caravan to Shangzhou to find someone." Qian was a little hesitant in his heart. He wanted to see Zhou Yin again, but he was afraid that his family would suffer if he lived. That's it, Zhou Jin said, there are fifth and sixth children, they are still young, and you still need to take care of them, and the fourth child can also go to the field. Hearing this, the thin Jojo raised his smiling face and grinned at his mother. He was still young, so he didn't know what his parents were talking about. Anyway, his father mentioned him and didn't reach out to beat him, so it was right to just laugh. Zhou Jin comforted Jianxi, coaxed her to take the medicine, and when the autumn harvest was over, he personally sent Zhou Lang away, but not to Mianzhou City, but to Lujiang County. Tuesday Lang went to Lujiang County to do carpentry. This was a job that Zhou Jinchuo found for him with great difficulty. People's money. Zhou Lang, father, is it really okay for us to lie to mother like this? Then what should I do? You have almost spent all your money on medical treatment, and you still plan to go to Shangzhou for begging, Zhou Jin said. I have asked a passing caravan to go to Shangzhou to inquire about the news, and I should receive the news at the latest in the 12th lunar month of next year. Well, anyway, you have been more honest recently. Zhou Lang muttered, aren't I afraid that you will be cheated? That's because there is not much money left in the family. I won't be deceived. I've made inquiries. The caravan is from Mianzhou, and they come back every year for the new year. But the caravan still failed to bring back the news of Zhou Yin. It is said that they did not find it. Shangzhou is so big, and Zhou Jin does not have an exact address, only a name and place of origin. They really have nowhere to look. Zhou Jin went back to Lujiang County in disappointment, took home Tuesday Lang, who had been working as a carpenter for almost 2 months, and told Qian, I didn't find it. It's almost Chinese New Year, and Erlang came back with the caravan. Let's save money first. I will go to inquire again in 2 years. This time, Mrsgn was unusually silent and didn't respond. Zhou Jin didn't say anything, but asked the 3 daughters-in-law to keep a close eye on Qian, fearing that something might happen to her. They didn't know that at this time Zhou Yin had just married Xia Xian and was just getting married. They originally planned to go back to Mianzhou after the Chinese New Year, but due to delays due to family matters, Zhou Yin could only press the matter and manage the properties under the name of the Xia family first. In addition to the yard where his family lives now, Xia Yan also has a shop, which is rented out to others, and 2 other pieces of land, both in Hongtian village. Because Zhou Yin is a married man, the family has a lot of opinions on the ownership of these 2 lands, but Xia Yan is strong and the most promising person in the Xia family, so we will not talk about it for now. Zhou Yin seemed to know what they were thinking, and had been working hard to make money, and finally bought another piece of land outside Hongtian village, and it was not small. No matter when the property is purchased, it is very important for a family. Through this matter, Zhou Yin let the Xia family in Hongtian village see that he is not easy to bully, and that he has the ability to make the Xia family live better. For capable people, the world always respects and fears them, so Zhou Yin gradually gained a firm foothold, and Xia Yan was still there. So some elders in the clan still don't like Zhou Yin very much, and even don't agree with him, but they dare not deny him. However, they still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts, because after Zhou Yin and Xia Xian got married, there was no movement for 2 years. Xia's mother was also very anxious, and couldn't help finding many folk remedies and came back, but Zhou Yin didn't allow Xia Xian to take it, so he just took her to the medical clinic to find a famous old doctor to see, and finally ran back and told Xia's mother, the doctor said it was my former doctor. After years of starvation, my body is now weak, so I need to have another child in 2 years. Xia's mother glanced at her daughter who lowered her head, her eyes were weak and red-eyed, what else did she not understand? Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3416. She sighed, took the medicine bag in Zhou Yin's hand. Then I'll make medicine for you, remember to drink it later. Zhou Yin responded immediately, thanked Xia's mother with a smile on his face, and took his wife back to the room. He comforted Xia Xian, who was almost in tears, and said, "Don't be sad, I'm a son-in-law. I've only heard of wives who couldn't bear children and were divorced, but never heard of husbands who couldn't bear children and were divorced. Now I'm the head of the household, and I have to beg you not to divorce me." Xia Xian was amused by him, but she was really sad. She cried and laughed and said, "You're teasing me again." Zhou Yin pulled her and laughed, "Just say you're not happy." Xia Xian gave a soft hum, but soon became worried again. "You take the problem on yourself, what if your parents tell you?" Zhou Yindao, father and mother are reasonable, and it's too late to hurt me, so why would they say anything about me? What do people outside say about you? I don't care what they say, and I have thick skin, so I'm not afraid of what they say, but your face is fair and tender, I can't bear to let them say it. Xia Xian glanced at him, but she was really happy. Xia's mother boiled medicine every day and sent it to Zhou Yin's house. Zhou Yin blew it cold and gave it to Xia Xian to drink. Whether it was Xia's mother or Xia Yan, they all turned a blind eye to it, as if they didn't know about it. Seeing their daughter's ruddy complexion and being happy every day, Xia Yan and Xia's mother were very grateful for the choice at that time. Especially when they are not in good health. Both Xia Yan and Xia's mother are not in good health, especially Xia's mother. In the past 5 years since Zhou Yin came, her health has been intermittent. They are all minor illnesses, such as cough, fever, or back pain or leg pain. They don't need to stay in bed, they just need to take medicine and take care of them carefully. So when Mother Xia had a stuffy nose, sneezed, and felt cold, everyone, including Xia Yan, was not very worried. They just called a doctor for her and took the medicine. By the time the family members came to their senses, she had been ill for more than a month one after another, and she never recovered. Every time she saw that the symptoms were getting better, she would get worse after one night. Either the cough suddenly got worse, or she felt a sore throat, or a chill. Xia Yan felt that it was not good for her to be sick all the time, so Zhou Yin asked Zhou Yin to invite another doctor to come to see and treat her. It was only after seeing that she found out that she had typhoid fever, and not only her, but Xia Yan was also infected. The doctor said, "It has just snowed heavily, and it is cold and wet. People are indeed prone to typhoid fever, so we should be more careful." He said, "Many people in the city are sick this month. It is best for the sick to separate themselves from their family members so as not to get sick." Xia Yan felt a runny nose and chills recently, but he didn't take it to heart. Hearing this, he asked, "Is my wife and I seriously ill?" The doctor said, "Mr. Xia's illness is not very serious, but Ms. Xia's body is weak, and she has been ill for a long time this time. It is indeed not good. Please ask the doctor to save her." Xia Yan said immediately, "Don't worry about the medicine, we can use any medicine." The doctor nodded slightly, and prescribed medicine for them. Mother Xia did get better after taking the medicine, but soon, the weather turned cold and she obviously paid attention to keeping warm, but the cold aggravated her condition, and she also had a fever at night. Xia Yan has recovered from his illness, but his body is still a little weak. Zhou Yin didn't dare to let him and Xia Xian take care of him, so he hired a woman to take care of him. Let Xia's mother's illness get better. The mother-in-law and Xia's mother who came to help said, "Your son-in-law is really kind. My own son doesn't have this kind of filial piety." Xia's mother couldn't help but said happily, "This child is very good, after all, he was selected from thousands of people." The mother-in-law smiled and said, "I heard that he is making a lot of money outside now." You will enjoy the blessings when your daughter gives birth to a big fat grandson for you. From now on, you only need to take your grandson with you. The daughter is right in front of you. There will be no conflicts between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law gone. Xia's mother paused with a smile, and said, the child's business depends on fate. Hey, you don't know, I saw your uncle went to ask the doctor to come to see him early this morning, and Xiniang seems to be pregnant. Mother Xia immediately sat up from the bed. Really? If you don't believe me, just call someone in and ask. Xia's mother couldn't bear it anymore, and immediately went out to find her daughter. When she got outside, she realized that she was sick now, and she was angry with her daughter, so she hurriedly stopped. Xia Yan, who was in the next room, heard the movement and came out to look. Seeing her standing outside the door, she couldn't help frowning. It's so cold outside, why did you come out? Xia's mother hurriedly asked, I heard that Xiniang is pregnant. Xia Yan glanced at the woman, feeling unhappy. Xia's mother was recuperating in the room, and anyone who heard it said it would be obvious. He nodded and said, I am pregnant, but the days are still short, so I can't announce it to the public. Xia's mother nodded again and again, yes, yes, the days are still young, so you can't shout loudly. What should you do if you are surprised and leave the mother? She looked around and asked, where are Xian Niang and Zhou Yin? Xiniang is sleepy, she is falling asleep at the moment. Zhou Yin has gone out to work, you should go back to the house, don't catch the cold anymore. Xia's mother can only respond. In fact, Zhou Yin went out to buy medicine, not only Xia Mu's medicine, but also Xia Xian's medicine. Her fetal image was not very good. The doctor prescribed medicine, because the days were still young, and the fetal image was not good, so after discussing with Xia Yan, he decided not to tell Mother Xia for the time being. In case the child can't be kept, let Xia's mother know that it will be sad. Who knew that the helper mother-in-law would tell Mother Xia quickly? But since Xia's mother already knew, naturally she couldn't hide it. Everyone could only create an illusion that Xia Xian was good, and told the mother-in-law not to let her talk about Xia Xian's situation in front of Xia's mother. The medicine Xia Xian had taken before worked, and the child survived, but Xia's mother's illness worsened and tended to get worse. After the new year, it's still cold, and Xia's mother will die. Xia Yan held her hand tightly and encouraged her in a low voice, stop it a little longer, it will be fine when the weather is hot. He said, Shangzhou is too cold, it's not easy to recuperate. We will go to a warmer place in the future, and you will get through the spring first. Xia Yan's voice was inaudible, don't leave me alone. Xia's mother looked at him apologetically, I'm afraid it won't work. It's a surprise that I can survive until now. Fortunately, Xiniang has a child. Xia Yan's tears fell on the back of her hand, and she couldn't hold back for a moment. Zhou Yin supported Xia Xian and stood aside, looking at Xia Xian worriedly. Xia Xian's face was pale. Seeing her mother looking at her, she stepped forward and knelt down beside her bed. Mother Xia grabbed her hand and said in a low voice, it's cold on the ground, don't kneel down. Zhou Yin hurriedly helped her up and sat on the bed. Xia's mother glanced at Zhou Yin, and said to Xia Xian, seeing that you are so good, I feel relieved. You must take good care of your father in the future. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3417. Xia Xian cried and nodded, Mom, you haven't seen the baby born yet, touch it, he's already this big now. Xia's mother was also very sorry, I can't see him born, and I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Xia Xian couldn't restrain herself from crying, but she couldn't stop her, and Xia's mother still died of illness. After her death, Xia Yan seemed to have been drained of energy, and her health also deteriorated. Both Zhou Yin and Xia Xian were worried, and they could only keep asking him to think about his future grandson. Xia Xian didn't have time to be sad. For her father, she went to him every day with her stomach on her stomach, and asked him to talk to the child in her stomach. Occasionally, the child in her stomach kicked her in the stomach lively, a rare smile flashed across Xia Yan's face, and her expression became more relaxed, so Xia Xian preferred to find her father. Xia Yan saw that her stomach was getting bigger and her baby was reacting more and more, so she simply found a few books, and Xia Xian read to her every day when she was lying in the yard basking in the sun. Needless to say, the effect was particularly good. Every time Xia Xian listened to her father reading, she fell asleep and fell asleep after a while. Xia Yan didn't want to disturb her sleep, so she stopped her voice and was about to put away the book when she saw her daughter's belly bulge, which seemed to be the child's little feet or little hands pushing it out forcefully. Xia Yan was amazed, and after thinking about it, he opened the book and read a paragraph. The protrusion retracted, and everything returned to calm. Xia Yan read for a while, then stopped again, and saw another lump protruding from her stomach. He experimented back and forth a few times, and seeing that Xia Xian was frowning and about to wake up, he immediately turned to the next page and continued reading. Only then did the child calm down, and Xia Xian slowly fell asleep. Xia Yan scratched his head and thought, is the child in his belly listening to the book and sleeping like his mother, or is he listening carefully? After thinking about it, he felt that he was absurd. How could the child in his stomach understand what people outside said? But with the child by his side, Xia Yan's health did improve a bit. He survived from autumn to winter, but unfortunately he still couldn't survive until the child was born. Xia Xian was very sad, and soon after Xia Yan was buried, she gave birth early and gave birth to a daughter. Because of Xia Yan's death, the Xia family in Hongtian village came to make trouble several times, thinking that Zhou Yan was unfilial and did not take good care of Xia Yan and Xia's mother. Some people even maliciously speculated that Zhou Yan killed them for the Xia family's property. My uncle and aunt have always been in good health. They have been free from illnesses and disasters for many years. Why did Zhou Yan get sick as soon as he got married? He also died of illness. If there is no trick, I wouldn't believe it. Neighbors in the neighborhood curled their lips at the people blocking Xia's door, and discussed privately, who doesn't know that Mr. Xia and Ms. Xia are not in good health? That's right, isn't it because of poor health that they only gave birth to Xinjiang at such a young age? One person said, Ms 3 times, I think Zhou Yan is very filial. This year, in order to take care of his husband and wife, he gave up all the good business in his hand. According to my son, he tied up with several caravans and earned a lot of money. It's no less than the Xia family's property. I think it's the people in Hongtian village who are staring at Xia's property, right? Who doesn't know that they have always wanted to adopt children for Mr. Xia? After all, it came from a remote area. A yard is worth fighting for. It's not just one yard, is it? I heard there are many more places. There was a lot of noise outside. Zhou Yan climbed over the wall and went out from the next door, and found a friend and Li Zheng to drive them away, and then went home to see Xia Xian. After giving birth, Xia Xian's complexion has not been good looking, and there is not much smile on her face, and she always looks at the baby in a daze. Zhou Yan bent down to pick up the sleeping daughter and put her in her arms. Xia Xian, who was wandering in the sky, came back to her senses, looked down at the daughter in her arms, and her face became a little lively. He sat on the side of the bed, half hugged her, and looked at the daughter in his arms with her. When the child is older, let's take her back to visit my brother and sister-in-law, okay? Xia Xian, go to Mianzhou. Yes, go to Mianzhou. Zhou Yan squeezed her hand tightly, letting her focus on him. We're going to live for 2 years. I want you to take a look at the place where I grew up. He said, my brother and sister-in-law are very good, especially my sister-in-law. If you see her, you will definitely like her. Xia Xian was a little scared. Then shall we come back? Of course, Zhou Yin said, "Father and mother are here, we will definitely come back." He said, "I plan to rent the land to others, hand over the shop to Uncle Xia, and let Uncle Xia take care of the house. We will come back in 2 years at most. At that time, these turmoil will stop, and Xia Xian will be able to get out of the sadness." During this time, Xia Xian's condition was very bad, and Zhou Yin was afraid that something would happen to her. Xia Xian's eyes turned red, and she leaned into his arms. "Okay, let's go to Mianzhou." For Xia Xian's sake, Zhou Yin rented out the 3 plots of land in his family to his clansmen, and they finally calmed down and stopped coming to his house every day to make trouble. It's just that there are still various criticisms in Hongtian village. Zhou Yin dare not let Xia Xian go back. When her daughter was a little older, Zhou Yin took the family's cash, land deeds and other important things with her, and packed up some valuables and entrusted them to a familiar business firm to transport them to Lujiang County. He hired someone to go back to Qilai village first, and waited for the business to send the things to Lujiang County before he picked them up. Because he only took a coachman, his wife, and daughter on the road, he didn't dare to bring too many valuable things. Except for household registration and some travel expenses, everything else was handed over to the trading company. He slowly returned to Lujiang County, gave the money to the coachman, and he drove back to Qilai village by himself. Zhou Yin, who had been privately identified as dead by Qilai village, suddenly appeared and brought back his wife and children, causing the whole village to erupt. Zhou Jin and his sons were still working in the field. Some people lost their shoes, so they didn't bother to look for them, so they rushed over with bare feet. "Uncle Jin, Uncle Jin, Uncle Silver is back." Zhou Jin almost hit his foot with a hoe. He swayed a bit before he stabilized himself, turned his head and asked loudly, "What did you say?" "Little Uncle Yin is back and is heading to your house. Go back and have a look." Zhou Jin turned to look at his sons. Zhou Dalin reacted, and immediately said, "Father, I heard that too." The brothers immediately picked up the hoe and ran home with Zhou Jin. Before they got home, they saw a group of people on the opposite road surrounded by a car coming towards them. Because there were too many people around, the donkey cart could not move for a long time. "Move one step." Zhou Jin stared blankly at the young man standing beside the donkey cart, and rubbed his eyes. If it wasn't for the young man's resemblance to him when he was young, he would hardly dare to recognize him as his younger brother. The elders in the village couldn't believe it, and asked in a good voice, "Are you really Zhou Yin?" Zhou Yin looked helpless. "Yes, brother Dao, I have only been away from home for so many years, why don't you recognize me?" "He must be Zhou Yin." Zhou Hu pulled a young boy over. "Look at the eyes, eyebrow shape and face that are almost the same as Shiro's, not to mention that they are uncles and nephews, people would believe that they are father and son." "Zhou Yin." Zhou Lang, who was dragged over with a dazed expression. Only then did Zhou Yin see Zhou Lang, and after looking him up and down, he stretched out his hands and rubbed his head and praised, "What a boy, have you grown so big?" Zhou Jin was pushed up, his face was still in a daze, with an expression of disbelief. "Second brother." Zhou Yin's eyes were slightly red, and he called out, "Brother. Do you want to see Zhou Yin and Xia Xian die, or just stop here? I'll see you tomorrow first, and I'll think about whether to write that paragraph tomorrow." Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3418. Zhou Jin looked at Zhou Yin in disbelief. He didn't expect that he was not only alive, but also looked so good. Zhou Yin also looked at Zhou Jin in disbelief. He didn't expect his brother to become so old, with the vicissitudes on his face. When the brothers met, they both had tears in their eyes, but Jian's emotions were more exposed than theirs. Seeing Zhou Yin, she couldn't help crying while hugging him. This is the child she has brought up since she was a baby. She patted him on the back and cried, "I thought you were dead, I thought you were dead." Zhou Yin also cried, hugged her and said, Sister-in-law, I'm not dead, I'm living well, and I even married a wife. He hurriedly helped Xia Xian, who was holding the child, out of the car. Sister-in-law, this is my wife. He grinned, I have a daughter. Zhou Jin and Qian's faces were in a daze, as if they were dreaming, and they felt that they couldn't even put their feet on the ground. The whole village of Qilai village became lively. When the villagers heard that Zhou Yin had returned with his wife and daughter, they brought their things to see him. Some came with a chicken, some with more than a dozen eggs, and some with a basket of white rice. The old Zhou's dilapidated thatched yard was crowded with people. Xia Xian sat among a group of ladies with her child in her arms, feeling a little uncomfortable. Zhou Yin squeezed in, took the child from her hand, pulled her with one hand and said, "Come on, I'll take you to meet some nieces and wives." "Oh, why are you so anxious?" someone pulled Zhou Yin. "I know you love your wife, but can we still eat her?" "Yes, yes, let's talk." "Zhou Yin, auntie, if you have anything to say to me, she can't even understand what we say here. Don't you talk to her like chickens and ducks." "Okay, I can talk to you, Xiaoan, how did you marry such a beautiful wife?" Zhou Yin said proudly, "I can do it." He said generously to everyone, "I was very lucky. After being ill, I was left in Shangzhou. My father-in-law's family rescued me, and I worked hard. In addition to my good looks, my father-in-law and mother-in-law finally got a job. Take a fancy to me and let me join Xia's family." Everyone was amazed. "You are homeless, and your father-in-law and mother-in-law are really willing to marry you." "Zhou Yin, I look good." Everyone looked at Zhou Yin's face, then at Xia Xian, who was blushing, and nodded approvingly. Too many people came, so Qian didn't keep them for dinner, but planned to invite them another day. Let Xiao Qian and others send all the guests away, and then the Zhou family sat down and talked together. Xia Xian was a bit cautious, and so was Qian. The two sisters-in-law were silent for a while. The age difference was really big, so Qian called Xiao Qian and said softly, "Take my little aunt to rest, and make something for her first. Fill your belly with the kids." Xiao Qian agreed, and stepped forward to help her up with a smile. "Auntie, let's go to the kitchen and sit around. I don't know what you like to eat, why don't we go and have a look?" Xia Xian glanced out and saw that Zhou Yin was still seeing off the guests with the child in his arms. They were some very old people, probably elders, so she didn't object. She got up and went to the kitchen with Xiao Qian. Finally sent everyone away, Zhou Yin carried the child and Zhou Jin back to the hall. "Where's Xian Niang?" "I'm going to the kitchen." Qian stretched out his hand to take the baby in his arms. She was only 6 or 7 months old, and her round eyes were looking around the room curiously. Although she was small, she didn't recognize her at all. "Born." Seeing Lian, Qian hugged her and sat on her lap, and asked with a smile, "Did the child get a name?" "No," Zhou Yin said, "she was born prematurely and was weak at birth. They all said that the child was too weak to be named, so as not to be overwhelmed, so we just screamed." Mrs. Qian stroked her somewhat dry hair and nodded, "I shouldn't choose it. I will name her when she is a little older and 1 year old." Zhou Jing quietly glanced at the kitchen, and whispered, "Can we take the name?" Zhou Yin was curious, "Brother, do you have a suitable name?" "No, but you can go to the Taoist temple to ask for a name," Zhou Jin said. "She is already surnamed Xia, so of course we have to choose this name from our family." "Zhou Yin." Qian couldn't help but said, "Who is arguing with you about this?" "Why not argue? In the future, if this child knows that her name was taken by our family, he will have a deeper affection for us." Qian ignored him, and quickly asked Zhou Yin, "Your father-in-law also agrees with you to come home? How long can you stay at home?" Zhou Yin was a little depressed. "They all died of illness, that's why I brought Xinjiang back." He said, "I want to live with her at home for 2 years, and we will go back to Shangzhou when she gets better. Zhou Jin's eyes brightened, and he whispered, then why don't you live at home? MRSGN glared at him. Zhou Jin's voice became lower and lower, but he still said, it's what it is, and it's not that I want to go back on my marriage, or there is no one at the other end of their house. They live here, and Dallin Erlang and the others are here, anyway. There is a care. Zhou Yindao, brother, there are still fields, real estate, and shops in Shangzhou, as well as ancestral graves, so we must not stop offering sacrifices. Qians, your life was saved by their family. Now that you are married, you have to keep your promise, treat your wife well in the future, and continue to prolong the descendants of the Xia family. Zhou Yin ignored Zhou Jin, who was depressed, and nodded with a smile, yes, I listened to my sister-in-law. The life of the old Zhou's family was not easy. The house was still the old house. In the past few years, several thatched cottages were built, which were low, narrow, and damp. Zhou Yin was disgusted and distressed at the same time, and asked Zhou Zhoulang in a low voice, is life difficult at home these few years? Zhou Zhoulang couldn't tell him that his family spent all the travel expenses to find him in order to treat his mother's illness, so he said, in order to marry us a daughter-in-law, all the money was spent. Zhou Yin asked with his tut, you are so poor, how did the nephew and daughter-in-law fall in love with you? Zhou Zhoulang took a look outside, and after confirming that there was no one, he whispered, I cheated my daughter-in-law, and the third daughter-in-law agreed because his father-in-law and mother-in-law thought that he could endure hardship, be capable, and be honest. Zhou Yin. Zhou Yin took the quilt off the car and spread it on the bed before going to Xia Xian. He put his daughter on the quilt, let her lie on it and move slowly, and said to Xia Xian, I have wronged you, and I will ask the village chief to approve a piece of land to build a house in 2 days. The valuables of their family are fixed assets in Shangzhou, and the rest, except cash, are all in the caravan transport. Zhou Yin took down the money box from the car. There was not much money in it, but it was more than enough to build a house. He discussed with Xia Xian, I was raised by my brother and sister-in-law. When I come back this time, firstly, I will visit relatives. Secondly, I also want to help them, so I want to build a house for them. He said, at that time, we will also build a small courtyard next to it, so that the two families can take care of each other. In the future, when we go back to Shangzhou, they can also help us take care of the house. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3419. Xia Xian had no objection and just asked, then what have we been doing here for the past 2 years? Don't worry, I will earn money to support you. Zhou Yin stretched out his hand to hold her hand, and said in a low voice, just stay here and take your daughter for a walk in the village every day to talk to her sisters-in-law. He said, people in our village are very kind, you will like them. What Zhou Yin said was right, the people in Qilai village were very kind, whether it was the people who came to see her at Lao Zhou's house or the people she met when she went out, they were very kind and warm to her. Today, the old Zhou's family invited the people in the village to eat, but when each family came, they not only brought rice noodles, but also eggs, vegetables, and some meat. Picnic. Xia Xian was so curious about it, she couldn't help asking little Qian in a low voice, is this how you eat wine here? No, little Qian said after a pause, they are thanking uncle. Xia Xian asked her, in confusion. Xiao Qian, in the past when our place suffered from drought, my uncle found work for them, and the people in the village survived by relying on that work, so they are very grateful to my uncle. She told in detail how Zhou Yin sold himself and found such a job for the village. Xia Xian was slightly surprised, and turned to look at Zhou Yin, who was surrounded by people. She only knew that he sold himself to survive because of the disaster in his hometown, but she didn't know that there were so many other things in it. Zhou Yin met her gaze as soon as he turned his head. Seeing tears in her eyes, he couldn't help but squeezed out from the crowd, pulled her back into the room, and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong? Someone bullied you?" Xia Xian shook her head, stretched out her arms to hug him, squeezed her whole body into his arms, and said sullenly, "I just feel sorry for you all of a sudden." Zhou Yin couldn't help laughing, "Miss Silly, even if I feel sorry for you, it should be because I feel sorry for you, right?" Xia Xian hugged him tightly and said nothing. He guessed a little bit, so Zhou Yin also hugged her and patted her, and softly comforted her, "It's okay, it's all over. Don't you think I'm living well now?" Xia Xian gave a soft hum. The old Zhou's family simply treated the villagers to a meal, which was regarded as welcoming Zhou Yin back. Master Bai, who had just moved here, heard how lively the other side of the river was, so he couldn't help standing by the bridge and looking over there. Mrs. Bai passed by and said, "If you want to see the fun, go watch it." Master Bai immediately refused, "I don't want to watch it, so don't talk nonsense." Why would he want to watch the fun? That's what he said, but Master Bai still couldn't help wandering over, walked down the river for a while, and successfully ran into Zhou Yin, and said a few words. Master Bai came back and said to Mrs. Bai, "Qilai village is not only good in geomantic omen, but also has good people. I think the new Zhou Yin who came back is good. He will definitely do something in the future." Mrs. Bai didn't want to talk to him. She still doesn't understand why he moved here. It's not close to the county town and the transportation is inconvenient. Zhou Yin also thought that Mr. Bai was good, and said to Zhou Jin, "I never thought that our village would be so poor that a landlord would move in. Brother, wouldn't it be better to have a landlord in the village?" Zhou Jin thought for a while and said, "It's easier to find jobs than before." He said, "In the past, the land of Master Bai's family was handed over to the steward. The steward looked down on our Qilai village and lived on the other side of Dali village. The people who planted and reaped the harvest were all from the other side of Dali village. And now Master Bai lives in the village by himself, and when the land needs people, it is natural that people from our village will be used first, and Sanlang has made a lot of money working for Master Bai this year." Zhou Yin nodded thoughtfully, "I see there is still a lot of wasteland in the village, I wonder if I can buy some." Zhou Jin cheered up, and immediately said, "Let me help you ask. If you have money, it's better to buy land, because with land, you can rely on it in the future." Zhou Yin came back to his senses, smiled and said, "I'll make a decision after I go to the county seat to see it." "Look at what?" "Look at the work," Zhou Yin said. "I entrusted the caravan to help me transport some things back, and I will go get them tomorrow. If there is a job suitable for me in the county, I will earn money in the county in the future. If not, think again, it's about farming. Let Dalan go with you. The fields are busy, and the farming season has been delayed these 2 days because of my return, so I can go alone." Zhou Yin said, "Our village is not very far from the county seat, and I still have a car." Zhou Jin thought so too. Although Zhou Yin hadn't come back for many years, the road to the county hadn't changed. It was delayed in the field for 2 days, and it really couldn't be delayed any longer. So Zhou Jin nodded. As soon as Xia Xian heard that Zhou Yin was going to the city, she followed suit. Knowing that she was shy and a little afraid of being alone with the people here, Zhou Yin agreed, "All right, go and see Lujian County." He leaned close to her ear and whispered, "If you like the county town, then we can live in the city in the future." "Xia Xian, don't you want to live in the village?" "There are too many people in the village." Zhou Yin reached out and touched her head and said with a smile, "You can't hide at home all the time, can you?" Xia Xian blushed slightly, and whispered, I am very courageous." "Yes, you are bold, but you are not used to communicating with too many people," Zhou Yin said casually, it's easy to be surprised. Xia Xian punched him. Zhou Yin clutched his chest and said, the most courageous thing is to beat your own husband. Zhou Yin wanted to bring her daughter with her, but she didn't know if she was tired. She had been lethargic for the past 2 days. If anyone hugged her, she would cry loudly. Seeing her, MRSGN hugged the child. It's not good for such a small child to go out. It would be bad if she lost her soul. If you want to go, go by yourself. Leave her at home, and I will take care of her. Zhou Yin hesitated, but... Go early and come back early, Qian urged. Bring 2 umbrellas, I think it might rain recently, so bring them just in case. Zhou Yin glanced at his daughter, and saw that she closed her eyes and closed her fists and fell asleep again, but tears were still hanging from her eyelashes. He carefully stretched out his fingers to wipe away the tears, feeling a little distressed. All right, leave her at home, Xiniang, and I will go back quickly. Xia Xian was reluctant to let go, but hesitated, if she wakes up and can't see me. Zhou Yin just wanted to take her out to relax, so he hugged her and walked out. Don't worry, my sister-in-law is much better at taking care of children than us, can she still cure your daughter? After Zhou Yin got into the car, he helped Xia Xian up, and he also jumped into the car, flicked his whip, and walked slowly towards the county seat. They walked around the county town and bought some things before going to the store to pick up their consignment. In fact, there are not many things, just 2 big boxes, one of which contains some of their valuable clothes and fabrics, and the other contains some jewelry, valuable decorations, pens, inks, papers and inkstones. Oh, and there are some deeds and deeds of land, which are stored in another box. When they came back, it was more dangerous and easier to lose these things with them, so they entrusted the caravan to transport them together. They often undertake this kind of drop-in work, which is much cheaper than Zhou Yin and the others spending on bodyguards to escort them. After counting, Zhou Yin said that there was no problem, so he got into the car and took Xia Xian home. Good night. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 3420. Zhou Yin stopped the car, stretched out his hand to break off a few big leaves, pulled some fine grass, picked a few flowers, and let the donkey walk forward slowly. He sat on the car with one leg crossed, and the other leg put it outside the car, hanging down and shaking. Xia Xian saw that his fingers were dexterously weaving the fine grass, so she went up to look curiously. Zhou Yin wove a hat out of grass and big leaves, and wrapped flowers around the edge. Does it look good? Xia Xian nodded, it looks good. Zhou Yin put the hat on for her, and said with a smile, although it's only early summer and the sun isn't very strong, it's better to put it on. Xia Xian put her hands on her hat and smiled brightly. Seeing her happy, Zhou Yin couldn't help laughing happily. The 2 of them were giggling at each other, and 2 embarrassed people fell out on the path not far away. The donkey was frightened, kicking its legs and rushing forward in a panic. Zhou Yin was taken aback, and hurriedly pulled the donkey aside, only then narrowly avoiding the man who fell on the ground. This donkey was a docile donkey specially selected by Zhou Yin, because Xia Xian and her daughter couldn't stand the bumps, so although it was frightened, it was quickly calmed down. Zhou Yin stopped the car, helped Xia Xian out of the car, and hurried to see the person who was almost hit by the car. The people who fell on the ground quickly got up together, and the other party just glanced at Zhou Yin and wanted to leave. Seeing that they were covered with blood, Zhou Yin rushed to stop them. Mr. Lang, wait a moment. He glanced at their legs and the blood-stained clothes on their bodies, and worried, I hurt your husband. No, we hurt ourselves, you guys leave quickly. After Bai Qi finished speaking, he pulled Erji and was about to leave. Zhou Yin didn't want to let people leave in such a muddle-headed manner. Mr. Lang is going to the county town to find a doctor? It's still far away from the county town. Why don't you bandage it first? or the blood will be drained by the county town. ERG also pulled Bai Qi back. Master, your injury can't last. He turned his head and asked Zhou Yin, my lord, can you lend us your car? Zhou Yin was stunned for a moment and then nodded, okay, so, let me take you back to our village. Our village is not far from here. There is an old doctor in the village next door, and his medical skills are also good. No, Bai Qi glanced back, we were hunted down, and if we went to your village, we would be a burden to you. Zhou Yin was taken aback, chasing and killing. He also glanced at the path where they came, and hurriedly said, if you are chasing them, you should go with me. There are a lot of people in our village, and they are united. Even if they don't dare to go to our village. Bai Qi vaguely heard some movement, looked up at Zhou Yin, gritted his teeth and asked, I don't know what your name is. My name is Zhou Yin. Bai Qi then took out the package that he had been protecting all the time and stuffed it to him. In Xiaoyang County, Bai Qi, the magistrate of Xiaoyang County, the king of Yas who embezzled the money used to build the Qinwei Weir, recruited soldiers and bought horses, and secretly made weapons. This is evidence. Please put this thing away, and if possible, please give it to Tang Hui, Tang Shilang, who is on patrol. Zhou Yin was stunned. This. Bai Qi Theo, the person who chased me is coming soon, you should go. Xia Xian was a little scared, and came up from behind, Zhou Yin. Only then did Bai Qi see Xia Xian. He paused with his hand on the oilcloth bag, and wanted to take the cloth bag back, but Zhou Yin took it, looked at Bai Qi seriously, and said, I don't know you either. What you said is true or false. If it is false, I will hand it over to the government, and the government will investigate it, if it is true. Zhou Yin's face became serious and he said, the world has only been stable for 2 years, Lujiang County is under the jurisdiction of Jianese Road, if Yizhu rebels, the people of our entire county will be involved, let alone Jianhuiyan is of great importance. He said, I'll take this thing, and I will give it to Mr. Tang Hui for you. Erji urged anxiously, Master. Bai Qi withdrew his hand, nodded and said, okay, Xian and his wife will go first, and my servant and I will lead the assassin away. Zhou Yin nodded, pulled Xia Xian and was about to get in the car and leave, when he glanced at the ground under his feet was stained red, obviously seriously injured. He could not help but pause, climbed into the car and opened the box, took out the baggage containing important things such as their land deed and house deed, then turned the car around and stuffed it to Bai Qi. Master Bai, please drive for your life, so hurry up son, maybe it's safe to enter the county town. Bai Qi held the rope and was about to object, but Zhou Yin had already stretched out his hand to pull Xia Xian into the nearby woods. I'm familiar with this forest, they can't catch up with me. Until the husband and wife left, Erji was still a little unbelievable. Master, we just handed over the things to them. Just in case. Bai Qi Theo, I believe them. Although it's the first time we've met, this person is upright, with clear eyebrows. He's obviously a righteous person. He won't lie to us. Erji anxiously said, then young master, let's run away. Bai Qi clenched the rein in his hand and said, wait a little longer, when those people see us, they must let them chase us. Zhou Yin pulled Xia Xian into the forest, and waited until he had climbed a bit before looking back. Xia Xian was also confused, we just gave the car and so many things to others. Zhou Yin squatted down, opened the oilcloth Bai Qi gave him, and said with a smile, that man is as tall as a long pine, and he is gentle, he doesn't look like a bad person. He raised the brochure in his hand and said, and look at the wounds on his body, this is something he used his life to protect, isn't it worth more than our cloth clothes and accessories? Xia Xian also squatted down to look at it, and asked, is this really evidence that the king of Yizhu rebelled? Zhou Yin had already rewrapped the booklet, and put it on his back together with their valuables. It is indeed the account books and names, but I don't know if it is something he said, but this is beyond our control, just hide the things and give them to Mr. Tang when the opportunity arises. He reached out to hold her hand and said with a smile, let's go home. Xia Xian responded, and walked up the mountain holding hands with Zhou Yin. Although Zhou Yin has not been in Qilai village for many years, and the vegetation on this mountain is different from that of many years ago, the position of the rocks has not changed, and the sun in the sky has not changed, so although his speed is slower, his direction is not wrong. Walking, Zhou Yin looked up and saw a familiar rock. He couldn't help but pause. He touched the burden on his body, and said to Xia Xian, I don't know why, I feel a little flustered in my heart. These things are too important, otherwise don't take it back to the village, and stay in the mountains. Xia Xian also felt uneasy and nodded repeatedly. Zhou Yin led her to turn around and found a stone cave. He untied the burden and said to Xia Xian, I used to go hunting with my friends in the mountains, and I often hid here to bake something. Xia Xian took off the hairpin from her head and put it in her bag, and said with a smile to Zhou Yin, then I will leave something as a souvenir too. Zhou Yin smiled and nodded, okay.